Imagine a life where fear doesn't control you anymore, a life where you face every challenge with calm, clear thinking and a strong belief in yourself. It might sound like a dream, right? But let's face it, fear and anxiety are feelings we all experience at some point. They sneak into our minds, keep us up at night, and stop us from doing the things we truly want to do. Sometimes fear even prevents us from going after our dreams or trying new things, and it can feel overwhelming. But here's something to consider. What if I told you there's a way to break free from fear? What if there's a way to stop fear from controlling your life? The ancient wisdom of Buddhism, which has helped millions of people find peace and wisdom for over 2,500 years, may hold the answer. Buddhism isn't just about religion or philosophy. It offers practical tools and teachings that can help us change the way we think, feel, and act. These teachings provide simple yet powerful ways to free ourselves from fear and anxiety. In today's video, we're going to explore 6 deep lessons from the Buddha. These lessons aren't just ideas. They're steps you can actually take to help you face fear with confidence. Each one will show you how to change the way you think, how to face your fears, and how to find the courage to move forward in life. These teachings have helped people for thousands of years, and they can help you too. First, we'll look at how the Buddha teaches us to understand our fears. Often, fear comes from thinking about what might happen in the future. We worry about things that haven't even happened yet, and that keeps us stuck. But the Buddha's wisdom shows us how to focus on the present moment and not let our minds run wild with worry. By learning to be present, we can break free from the grip of fear. Next, we'll dive into how the Buddha encourages us to change our mindset. Instead of letting fear control us, we can change the way we see challenges. Fear often comes when we think something is too hard or too dangerous. But what if we looked at it differently? The Buddha teaches us that challenges are an opportunity to grow. By changing how we view fear, we can face it head-on with confidence. We'll also learn about the importance of self-compassion. Sometimes we're our own worst critics, and we beat ourselves up for feeling afraid. The Buddha reminds us that fear is a natural part of being human, and it's okay to feel afraid sometimes. What matters is how we respond to that fear. By being kind to ourselves, we can overcome fear more easily. One of the most powerful lessons we'll cover is how meditation can help us overcome fear. Meditation helps us clear our minds and calm our emotions. It teaches us to observe our thoughts without letting them control us. When we meditate, we give ourselves the space to understand and release our fears. The more we practice, the less power fear has over us. But that's not all. There's a powerful bonus lesson waiting at the end of this video that could be the key to unlocking lasting freedom from fear. It's a lesson that ties everything together and helps you stay calm and strong, no matter what challenges come your way. So, if you're ready to stop letting fear hold you back and want to embrace a life filled with confidence and courage, stay with me until the end. The tools we're going to explore today could change your life and help you step boldly into the future you deserve. Let's dive in. Lesson 1. Embrace impermanence. What is it that holds you back in life? Is it the fear of failing, the fear of losing something important, or perhaps the fear of the unknown? We all experience fear at some point, and while it may feel personal, at its core, fear often comes from a common misunderstanding: the belief that life is supposed to be constant and predictable. We tend to think that things should stay the same, and when they don't, we panic. But what if I told you that the idea of permanence, believing that things should never change, is actually what causes us to suffer? In Buddhist philosophy, one of the first lessons we learn is the concept of impermanence. This idea might sound simple at first, but it holds deep power, and accepting it can be both freeing and challenging. Everything in life is temporary. Our happiness, our pain, even our fear is not meant to last forever. When we cling to the belief that things should always stay the same, we only create more anxiety for ourselves. Life is constantly changing, and that's okay. It's only when we try to resist that change that we start to feel the weight of fear and worry. Let's think about it like a river. Imagine standing by a river, watching the water flow past. The water twists and turns, always moving, never staying the same for even a second. Now imagine trying to hold on to a single drop of water, refusing to let it go while the river continues to flow. You might hold that drop for a moment, but eventually it will slip through your fingers and be carried away by the current. Trying to hold on to that drop would be exhausting, and you'd never be able to stop the river's flow. This is exactly how fear works. It tries to trap us by anchoring our thoughts and emotions to things we cannot control. When we try to keep the drop of water, we are resisting the flow of life, and that's when fear tightens its grip. Buddha's teachings are built on the understanding that the only constant in life is change itself. Nothing lasts forever, and when we resist this truth, we invite suffering into our lives. Think back to a time when fear took hold of you. Perhaps you were facing a major deadline, having a tough conversation with someone, or stressing about an uncertain future. When you were consumed by that fear, did it last forever? Was it something that stayed with you, or did it eventually pass? Most of the time, fear is fleeting, and once the event passes or the situation changes, the fear fades with it. Just like a cloud drifting across the sky, our fear moves on once we stop giving it attention. To embrace impermanence is to understand that even fear is temporary. Instead of struggling with it, trying to control it or pushing it away, we can simply observe it. When fear arises, instead of letting it take over, ask yourself, what is this fear trying to teach me? By approaching fear with curiosity and compassion rather than judgment, we allow it to move on. We don't need to fight it, because we understand that it will not last forever. This mindset helps us view fear as something that passes through our lives, rather than something that defines us or holds us back. Think of it like waves in the ocean. Each wave rises up and crashes back down, and the ocean remains unchanged beneath it. Our fears are like those waves, and we are the ocean, always here, always moving forward, no matter what. In our modern world, where we are constantly pressured to succeed, maintain control, and never show weakness, the lesson of impermanence is truly revolutionary. We are taught to hold on to things, to try and keep everything in our lives perfectly balanced, but life doesn't work that way. Things break, relationships change, careers take unexpected turns, and sometimes we're faced with tough decisions that feel overwhelming. When you face these challenges, remember that nothing is permanent. The pain you feel, the uncertainty you face, the fear you're holding on to, it's all temporary. Just like happiness and success, tough times too will pass. The key is not to fight against them or wish for things to stay the same, but to accept that life is fluid and constantly changing. This understanding allows you to find peace. When you stop trying to control everything and instead embrace the impermanence of life, you can stop overthinking the future and start living fully in the present moment. You will find the strength to face your fears with courage, knowing that they will eventually pass. You will learn to cherish every moment, not because it will last forever, but because it's here now, and it's a part of the journey. You will begin to appreciate both the highs and the lows, because you'll realize that they are all a part of the flow of life. The fear you feel today will not last, but the lessons you learn from it will stay with you, helping you grow stronger and wiser. So the next time fear begins to whisper in your ear, reminding you of all the things that could go wrong, remember the river. Life is like a river, constantly flowing, changing, and moving forward. You are not meant to resist the current, but to flow with it. By letting go of the need for permanence, you will find peace, not in trying to control everything, but in understanding the nature of life and fear. Fear is not a permanent resident in your life. It is just a visitor passing through. When you embrace the truth of impermanence, you will unlock a deep strength within yourself that no fear can take away. This lesson has the power to transform not only how you view fear, but how you live your entire life. Instead of fighting the changes that come, you will find yourself able to move with them, embracing each moment, knowing that life is always changing, and that is exactly how it's meant to be. By understanding impermanence, you will start to notice things you never saw before, the beauty of each passing moment, the lessons hidden in each challenge, and the peace that comes from accepting that life is constantly changing. You'll stop clinging to the idea that things should stay the same and begin to appreciate the way life flows, knowing that both joy and sorrow are part of the same river. With this understanding, you will no longer fear the future or the unknown, because you will know that everything, good or bad, is just another wave in the ocean of life. And when you let go of the need to control, you allow yourself to experience the true freedom that comes with acceptance. Lesson 2. Understand the nature of suffering. Why do we suffer? Why does fear grip us tightly when life feels unpredictable and uncertain? These are questions we often ask ourselves when we're overwhelmed by anxiety, sadness, or worry. The answer can be found in a profound truth that was taught by the Buddha. Suffering is a universal part of the human experience. Fear, anxiety, and pain, these emotions are not signs of weakness, nor are they signs that something is wrong with us. Instead, they are simply a part of life, deeply connected to our attachments and our aversions. They are natural reactions to the way we engage with the world and our desires. Understanding this truth can help us approach fear with more compassion and understanding. Let's imagine this idea through a simple story. Picture a traveler on a long journey. The traveler is carrying a heavy sack. Inside the sack, they hold everything they cling to. Expectations about how life should go, fears of losing things they care about, desires for control over their future. As the traveler walks, each step grows heavier, the burden becomes overwhelming, and the journey starts to feel impossible. The weight of the sack represents all the attachments and fears the traveler holds onto, and with each step, it becomes harder to keep moving forward. In many ways, this traveler is like us. We all carry the burden of attachments, the things we hold on to tightly, like our desires, our fears, and our expectations about life. We are afraid of losing the things we love, and we fear what we cannot control. These attachments weigh us down, just like the traveler's sack. The Buddha taught that much of our suffering, or dukkha, a word in Buddhism meaning suffering or unsatisfactory experience, arises from this very clinging. We hold on to things we believe will bring us happiness, but when they change or we lose them, we suffer. Similarly, we push away the things we fear, believing they will bring us pain, but in doing so, we only deepen our sense of anxiety. The reality is that life does not bend to our will. When the world doesn't match our expectations, when things don't go as planned, that's when suffering arises. Now, let's pause and reflect on this. What if we could see suffering in a different light? What if we could stop seeing fear, anxiety, and pain as something personal or isolating? What if we could understand that fear is not a sign that something is wrong with us, but a part of the shared human condition? Fear is something we all experience. When you're overwhelmed by fear, whether it's the fear of failure, rejection, or simply the unknown, it's easy to feel like you're the only one who feels this way. We think that no one else could possibly understand our struggle, and this makes us feel even more alone. But the truth is, every person you encounter, whether they're walking down the street, sitting next to you in a cafe, or standing in line at the store, has felt the sting of fear, the weight of anxiety, and the discomfort of uncertainty. Fear is universal. It's not just something that happens to you, it's something that happens to all of us. Recognizing that fear and suffering are universal changes everything. It shifts the way we view our struggles and, more importantly, how we view ourselves. Instead of blaming ourselves for feeling afraid or anxious, we can see these emotions as part of what it means to be human. This understanding invites compassion, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. It's natural to feel fear, and we shouldn't beat ourselves up for having these emotions. Buddha once said, "Suffering is universal, but so is the path to freedom." This means that while we all experience suffering, we also have the ability to rise above it. We don't have to be trapped by fear. The path to freedom begins with acceptance, accepting that fear, anxiety, and suffering are part of life. This doesn't mean giving up or resigning ourselves to despair. Instead, it means letting go of the need to resist reality, to fight against what is happening. It means understanding that fear is just one part of our journey, not something that defines us or controls us. The next time fear arises, remind yourself that this is part of being human. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are simply experiencing what it means to be alive. When fear comes, instead of pushing it away, embrace it with understanding. You are not alone in this. Everyone around you has their own fears and struggles. Use this realization to practice kindness, not just toward others, but toward yourself as well. Offer a comforting word to someone else who is struggling, knowing that their pain is a reflection of your own. When you connect with others in this way, you not only help them, but you also begin to heal yourself. You realize that we are all in this together, sharing in the same human experience of fear, joy, pain, and hope. This is where strength lies. When we embrace our shared humanity, we find resilience. We find the courage to face our fears, knowing that they are not permanent. Suffering may be universal, but so are resilience, growth, and healing. These qualities are just as common as fear and pain, and they are available to all of us. When we accept the truth that suffering is a part of life, we can begin to transform our experience of fear. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid or resist, we can begin to see it as a teacher. Fear teaches us about ourselves. It shows us what we value, what we care about, and what we are afraid to lose. Fear also invites us to grow. It challenges us to become more compassionate, more patient, and more understanding, not just toward others, but toward ourselves. When we embrace fear, we can find the courage to move forward and continue on our journey, even when the road is uncertain. Fear becomes a bridge that connects us to compassion, courage, and growth. By seeing suffering as universal, we can begin to change the way we approach fear. Instead of letting it paralyze us, we can use it as a guide to help us grow. Fear doesn't define us. It's just a part of our journey, a visitor that comes and goes. When we stop fighting it and instead accept it as part of life, we unlock a deep well of strength. We no longer see ourselves as broken or incapable of overcoming fear. We begin to see fear as a natural part of life, and we learn to work with it, not against it. In doing so, we find freedom, not just from fear, but from the suffering that fear can create. This journey is not easy, and it won't happen overnight. But by embracing the truth that suffering is universal, we can start to view fear differently. We no longer have to fight it or pretend it doesn't exist. Instead, we can walk alongside it, knowing that it too is temporary. And as we continue on our journey, we'll find that fear becomes less of a burden and more of a tool for growth. When we embrace our shared humanity, we begin to heal, not just as individuals, but together as a community. And this is the true path to freedom, not in resisting fear, but in accepting it, understanding it, and using it as a stepping stone toward greater compassion, resilience, and courage. Lesson 3. See the illusion of fear. What is fear really? Is it something that waits for the perfect moment to pounce on us, like a monster hiding in the shadows? Or could it be something else, something that feels just as powerful, but is in fact much less real than we think? Fear, as the Buddha taught, is often nothing more than an illusion. It's a mental projection of the worst-case scenarios that our minds create in response to uncertainty. Think about a time when you found yourself in a dark room, your heart racing as you saw something on the floor. You freeze, your mind filled with thoughts of danger, and then, when someone turns on the light, you realize it's only a rope. The fear that paralyzed you just moments ago disappears the instant you see things as they really are. This is the nature of fear. It thrives in the darkness of the unknown, where we can't see the full picture. In those moments, we imagine threats where none exist. Fear is not based on reality, it's an illusion, one that our mind creates to protect us from possible harm. The problem is, most of the things we fear never actually happen. The failures we dread, the rejections we anticipate, the losses we brace ourselves for. These things often remain in our imaginations and never materialize in the way we expect. So, the next time you find yourself gripped by fear, ask yourself, is this fear based on something real, or is it just a story my mind is telling me? The Buddha's teachings are clear. In order to overcome fear, we need to see it for what it truly is. A mental creation, a projection that has no power over us unless we allow it. Fear may feel very real in the moment, but when we pause and bring awareness to it, we can see it for what it is, an illusion. This doesn't mean that fear is something to dismiss or ignore. Rather, it means that when fear arises, we don't have to let it control us. By recognizing it as a thought, not an undeniable fact, we can loosen its grip on our lives. Think about a time when you were overwhelmed by fear. Maybe it was the fear of speaking up in front of others, the fear of starting something new, or the fear of what the future might hold. In those moments, the fear may have felt intense, almost paralyzing. But after the fact, looking back, did those fears come true in the worst way you imagined? Chances are they didn't. Often, when we face the things we feared, we find that they were not as catastrophic as we thought. Much like the rope that we mistook for a snake, fear frequently turns out to be a misperception. In the end, we realize that our fears were not rooted in reality, but in our own imaginations. In the world we live in today, fear often disguises itself as overthinking and anxiety. It whispers to us, saying, "What if you fail? What if you're not enough? What if you make a mistake?" These thoughts can seem so real, but when we shine the light of awareness on them, we see them for what they are, just shadows, not facts. This is where the Buddha's wisdom becomes incredibly powerful. He said, "Fear is not a fact, but a fleeting thought. Shine the light of awareness on it, and it will dissolve." These words offer us a key tool for overcoming fear: awareness. By simply becoming aware of the fear, by shining the light of consciousness on the thoughts that fuel it, we can begin to break the illusion. When we do this, we reclaim our power. Fear loses its grip on us, and we gain the clarity to act with courage and confidence. It's natural to feel fear from time to time, but when we recognize it for what it truly is, an illusion, we can stop letting it control our decisions. Fear becomes powerless when we question it, when we take a moment to step back and ask ourselves, is this fear based on truth, or is it something my mind has created? This simple question helps us see that fear often has no real foundation. In that moment of clarity, fear loses its strength. Instead of paralyzing us, it becomes a passing thought that we can choose not to engage with. We then find ourselves with the courage to take action, even in the face of uncertainty. Think about how powerful this can be. How many times have you hesitated to take a step forward in your life because you were afraid of failure or judgment? How many opportunities have you missed because you were paralyzed by the possibility of things going wrong? Fear can be a powerful force, but its power lies only in how much we believe in it. When we challenge our fears, when we question whether they are based on reality or just the stories our minds have created, we can move past them. Fear begins to fade away when we shine the light of awareness on it, revealing it for what it truly is, a fleeting thought, not an inevitable truth. In our daily lives, fear can manifest in so many ways. It can show up as the fear of speaking in public, the fear of making a big decision, the fear of change, or even the fear of what others think of us. But each time fear arises, we have the opportunity to question it. Is this fear based on something real, or is it just a projection of my mind? This simple practice of questioning fear can help us stop it from taking control of our lives. The more we practice this, the less power fear will have over us. We can use the same approach to break free from anxiety. When anxious thoughts come up, we can stop and ask ourselves, are these thoughts based on reality? Are they facts or just stories I'm telling myself? By asking ourselves this question, we can step outside of the fear and begin to view it from a more objective perspective. We no longer have to get lost in the worry or let it dictate our actions. Instead, we can choose to act based on what is real, not what we fear. Fear might seem real in the moment, but it doesn't have to control our lives. When we understand that fear is often an illusion, a fleeting thought based on imagined possibilities, we can begin to free ourselves from its grip. Fear loses its power when we shine the light of awareness on it, and in that moment, we find the courage to act. Whether it's taking on a new challenge, stepping into the unknown, or simply living in the present without fear of the future, we can choose to live with confidence and clarity. The next time fear arises in your life, take a breath. Pause. Observe your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this fear based on truth, or is it just an illusion? In that moment of awareness, you can shift your perspective. Fear no longer holds power over you. Instead of being paralyzed by it, you can move forward with courage, knowing that the snake in the room is really just a rope. The fear is not real. It's just a story your mind has created. And when you stop believing that story, fear will fade away, leaving you with the freedom to act with clarity and confidence. Fear may seem real, but its true power lies only in how much you believe it. So turn on the light, see the truth, and watch fear dissolve before your eyes. Lesson 4. Cultivate mindfulness. Where does fear live? It's a question worth pondering, especially when fear seems to grip us in the most unexpected ways. One thing we know for sure is that fear doesn't exist in the present moment. It doesn't live here in the now, where we are safe. Instead, fear thrives in the past and the future. It dwells in the regret of what was and the worry of what might be. This simple realization offers us a powerful key to breaking free from fear's hold. Fear is always tied to things that are beyond our control, things that have already happened or things that haven't yet occurred. But here's the truth. The present moment is always safe. The present moment is where we can find peace, and that's where the practice of mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is one of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism, and it offers a way to reclaim control over our minds and hearts. It is the art of being fully present, of bringing our attention to what is happening right now without judgment or distraction. When we practice mindfulness, we create space between ourselves and our fears, allowing us to see them for what they really are, temporary thoughts and feelings that don't have to control us. Let's picture this. You are standing on a beach, the warm sand under your feet, and you're watching the waves crash onto the shore. Each wave represents a thought, a gentle thought, like the calm lapping of water, or a more overwhelming thought, like a stormy wave threatening to pull you under. Without mindfulness, you might get swept away by the tide of your thoughts, caught up in a storm of fear and anxiety. You might get lost in the worry of what's to come or the regret of what's already past. But with mindfulness, something incredible happens. You become the observer. Instead of being swept away by the waves, you watch them rise and fall. You stand firm on the shore, knowing that you are not the ocean, but the one watching it. This is the power of mindfulness. It gives you the ability to observe your thoughts and feelings without being consumed by them. Fear thrives when we allow ourselves to dwell on the past or leap into the future. How often do we replay conversations in our heads, thinking, "I shouldn't have said that," or "I wish I'd done something differently"? Or how many times have we worried about the future, wondering, "What if I fail?" Or "What if everything goes wrong?" In these moments, we forget one simple truth. The only thing we can truly control is this moment, right here and right now. The present moment is all we have, and yet we spend so much time thinking about what has already passed or what may or may not happen. This is where mindfulness steps in to help. Mindfulness brings us back to the calm of now, where fear has no power. It teaches us that we don't have to get caught up in the past or the future. Instead, we can simply be present, and in that presence, we find peace. When fear arises, mindfulness offers us a lifeline. In those moments when we feel fear creeping in, instead of allowing it to control us, we can pause, take a deep breath, and return to the present. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. Feel the air filling your lungs and then leaving your body. Notice the sensations around you, the texture of the chair you're sitting on, the sounds in the room, the rhythm of your heartbeat. This practice of grounding, of paying attention to the present moment, helps anchor you where fear has no power. The Buddha taught that mindfulness is the path to freedom from suffering. By observing our thoughts without attaching to them, we create space to respond rather than react. We begin to see fear for what it truly is, a fleeting emotion, not an unchangeable truth. When we observe our thoughts without judgment, we allow them to pass by like clouds in the sky, knowing they do not define us. In our fast-paced world, it can be easy to forget to slow down and practice mindfulness. We are constantly moving from one task to another, our minds racing with thoughts of what we need to do next or what we've already done. Cultivating mindfulness may seem like a challenge, but it is simpler than we think. Mindfulness doesn't require us to sit in a quiet room for hours or meditate for long periods of time. It can start with small moments throughout our day. The next time you feel fear creeping in, whether it's fear about a big decision, an upcoming challenge, or just the stress of daily life, pause. Take a moment to breathe. Ask yourself, what do I hear? What do I see? What do I feel right now? By asking these questions, you shift your focus from the storm of anxious thoughts to the stillness of the present. You bring yourself back to where you are, to the moment at hand, and you find that in that moment there is no need to fear. Mindfulness doesn't eliminate fear. Fear is a natural part of being human, and it will always arise from time to time. But mindfulness transforms how we relate to fear. Instead of allowing fear to control us, we begin to relate to it as something that comes and goes, something that doesn't define us. Fear may still rise up, but we don't have to be swept away by it. Mindfulness helps us become the observer of our thoughts and feelings, giving us the power to choose how we respond. In this way, mindfulness becomes a powerful tool in navigating life's uncertainties. We can face fear with clarity, recognizing that while we cannot control everything that happens, we can control how we respond to it. Think about this. In life, we can't control the waves of fear that come our way, but we can learn to surf them. Fear is like the ocean. It will always be there, sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. But we are the surfer, not the waves. We can learn to ride the waves of fear instead of being knocked over by them. This is the gift of mindfulness. When we practice mindfulness, we find that fear becomes less of a burden and more of a challenge to meet with courage and grace. In the calm of the present moment, we find the clarity, the courage, and the strength to move forward. We stop being controlled by the fear of the future or the regret of the past, and instead, we move with the flow of life, embracing each moment as it comes. Mindfulness also helps us build resilience. The more we practice being present, the more we train our minds to let go of the past and future and focus on what is in front of us. This not only reduces our stress and anxiety, but it also helps us become stronger in the face of fear. As we continue to practice mindfulness, we become less reactive and more proactive, more aware of our own power and the choices we have in any given moment. Over time, we start to see that fear is not something to be feared. It's simply a part of the human experience. By learning to accept it and observe it without judgment, we grow in strength, courage, and wisdom. So the next time fear rises within you, remember, you are not the ocean, you are the observer. You are not the storm of anxious thoughts. You are the calm, steady presence that watches those thoughts come and go. Mindfulness will always guide you back to the present moment, where you can find peace, clarity, and the freedom to act. Fear will call you to the past or the future, but mindfulness will always bring you back home to now. And in that now, you will find the courage to move forward, no matter what waves of fear may arise. Fear may call you to the past or future, but mindfulness will always guide you back to now, where you can face it with clarity and strength. The present moment is the only place where true peace can be found, and mindfulness is the way to access it. Fear may rise, but mindfulness will always help you stay grounded in the calm of the present. 5. Let go of attachment. Why do we fear losing the things we hold most dear? It could be a loved one, a cherished possession, or even a dream we've spent years pursuing. So often we believe that our happiness is tied to these things. We think that without them we can't be happy. But what if the fear we feel is actually born from the way we cling to them? What if the fear comes from attachment, holding tightly to something in a world that is always changing? The Buddha taught that true freedom doesn't come from holding on tight, but from learning how to let go. Imagine holding a handful of sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze it, the more it slips through your fingers. But if you open your palm and let the sand rest gently in your hand, it stays there, undisturbed. Life is just like that sand. The harder we cling to people, possessions, or even the outcomes we desire, the more fear we invite into our lives. The fear of loss, the fear of failure, and the fear of change. It's natural to want stability and control. We all want to feel secure and certain. But the more we hold on to something tightly, the more we set ourselves up for pain when that thing changes or slips away. The irony is that the more we try to control and hold on to things, the more vulnerable we become to life's natural uncertainties. The Buddha's teachings on non-attachment help us understand that freedom doesn't come from clinging, but from letting go. Letting go doesn't mean we stop loving, stop striving, or stop caring about the things we value. It's not about becoming distant or indifferent. It's about embracing what we care about without the fear of losing it. It's about focusing on our efforts, not on the outcomes. Take, for example, planting a seed in your garden. You water it, nurture it, and care for it, but you cannot control whether it will grow or bear fruit. You can only control your intention and your actions. The same goes for life. In modern times, practicing non-attachment means shifting our perspective. If we're working toward a goal, we pour our energy and passion into the process, but we release the need for a specific outcome. If we love someone, we cherish them deeply, but we let go of the idea that our happiness depends solely on them. True security doesn't come from grasping at things. It comes from trusting in our inner resilience and the flow of life. The next time fear rises, whether it's fear of failure, rejection, or loss, take a moment to ask yourself, what am I clinging to? What would happen if I let go? This isn't about giving up or abandoning what matters to you. It's about releasing the need to control every outcome and finding peace in the effort itself. The Buddha once said, "Freedom lies in letting go, not in holding tight." Letting go doesn't mean you care less. In fact, it often means you trust more. You trust in the flow of life, trust in your ability to adapt and grow, and trust that you can find happiness no matter what happens. When we let go of attachment, fear loses its power over us. We realize that true happiness doesn't come from what we hold on to. It comes from the peace we create when we allow ourselves to release. In that space of letting go, we find peace, deep, unshakable peace. When we stop holding on so tightly to what we think we need, we discover that happiness is already within us. It's not dependent on external circumstances or the things we possess. The more we release our attachment to these things, the more space we create within ourselves for peace, love, and growth. The next time you feel the grip of fear, ask yourself, what would happen if I let go? And in that moment, feel the freedom that comes from trusting in yourself, trusting in the flow of life, and trusting that everything will unfold exactly as it should. 6. Cultivate patience. Why are we so afraid of waiting? In a world where instant results have become the norm, the idea of waiting for anything can feel unbearable. We are accustomed to immediate gratification, from fast food to instant messaging to quick fixes for just about everything. The idea of waiting for something, especially something important, can stir up a sense of anxiety and unease. Impatience magnifies our fear, amplifying the discomfort of not having immediate answers or outcomes. The unknown seems even more terrifying when we can't control when or how something will unfold. This constant need for certainty, for everything to be resolved quickly, can create a sense of inner turmoil. However, the Buddha taught us that patience is the antidote to this turmoil. Patience allows us to trust in life's natural rhythm, and it brings peace in the midst of uncertainty. Imagine planting a tree. You carefully nurture the soil, plant the seed, and water it each day. Then you wait. You don't dig up the seed every day to check its progress, nor do you obsess over whether it's growing at the pace you expect. You trust the process, knowing that the tree will grow in its own time. You have faith in the natural rhythm of life, and that faith allows you to wait without anxiety. Life is no different. Growth, both personal and in the world around us, takes time. We may face challenges or encounter moments of uncertainty, but just like that seed, everything will unfold at the right moment. However, when we rush or try to force things to happen according to our timeline, we create stress and frustration. This impatience feeds into our fear as we worry about the unknown and our inability to control the outcome. Patience, on the other hand, transforms that discomfort into wisdom, allowing us to grow at the pace we need. When we learn to wait without fear, we develop a deep sense of peace and trust in the process. Think about a moment in your life when fear gripped you. Perhaps it was during a job interview, when you were waiting for a call that could change your life, or maybe it was during a major life decision, when the future felt uncertain. In those moments, our minds often spiral into a vortex of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios. We become so preoccupied with the potential outcomes that we forget to live in the present moment. Our impatience leads us to desperately seek clarity and certainty, even though it might not be time for answers yet. But what if, instead of rushing to resolve everything, you chose to sit with the uncertainty? What if you trusted that the right answer would come when the time was right? The Buddha described patience as a form of strength, not a passive waiting, but an active trust in life's unfolding. Patience allows us to face challenges with calm, knowing that everything has its own time and rhythm. The storm of uncertainty will pass, the seed will eventually grow into a tree, and the answers will reveal themselves when the time is right. In our modern world, cultivating patience is more important than ever. The fast-paced nature of our lives, combined with the pressure to succeed and make quick decisions, often fuels a fear of the unknown. We feel as though we must have all the answers right now, but the Buddha teaches us that when stress and fear take over, we can pause and take a breath. We don't need to have everything figured out immediately. Instead, we can ask ourselves, what can I do in this moment? What can I let go of? By focusing on what is within our control and surrendering the rest, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. Buddha once said, "Fear fades when you trust that life unfolds in its own time." This trust in life's natural unfolding is the essence of patience. Patience teaches us that growth cannot be rushed, and the beauty of life lies in its gradual unfolding. The lessons we learn and the strength we build come not from pushing for immediate results, but from the space we create for ourselves to be present, to trust, and to allow things to happen at their own pace. The next time impatience begins to fuel your fear, think of the tree. Its roots grow deep in silence, unseen, before it begins to stretch toward the sky. Just as a tree's roots need time to become strong before it can grow tall, so too do we need time to develop our inner strength before we can move forward. Trust that your efforts, your journey, and even your struggles are all part of a greater process. You may not always see the progress you're making, but just like the tree, you are growing. And just like the seed, your growth will happen in its own time. Patience is not just about waiting passively for something to happen. It's about waiting with faith. Faith in yourself, faith in your resilience, and faith that life will guide you to where you need to be. Patience allows you to wait with confidence, knowing that each moment of uncertainty is simply part of the larger process. When you cultivate patience, you build the foundation for peace, strength, and enduring courage. In times of fear and uncertainty, our natural response may be to seek control and immediate answers, But the true power of patience is that it teaches us to let go of this need for control. It allows us to trust that everything is happening as it should, even if we don't fully understand why or when. The more we practice patience, the more we realize that we don't need to have everything figured out right now. What we need is to trust in the process and to show up fully in each moment. It is this trust in life's unfolding that brings us peace, and it is this peace that allows us to move forward no matter how uncertain the future may seem. The Buddha's teachings on patience offer us a deep sense of wisdom in our modern lives. In a world where everything seems urgent, patience reminds us that we don't have to rush. It's about embracing the uncertainty and trusting that things will unfold when they are meant to. It's about letting go of the anxiety that comes with trying to control everything and finding peace in the process. The next time you find yourself gripped by fear or impatience, remember the tree, with its quiet roots growing deep. Trust that you are growing too, in ways you may not yet see. And in that trust, you will find the peace to face whatever comes next with strength and courage. Patience, ultimately, is not just about waiting. It's about cultivating a mindset of trust and acceptance and finding peace in knowing that life is unfolding exactly as it should. Fear may try to make you rush ahead or hold you back, but when you practice patience, you will find the clarity to know that everything has its time. And in that understanding, you will find the freedom to be at peace with the flow of life, to wait without fear, and to move forward with courage when the time is right. Bonus Lesson 1. Reframe challenges as growth opportunities. What if fear wasn't something to avoid, but a guide pointing you toward growth? In our fast-paced, results-driven world, it's easy to view challenges as roadblocks, things to fear and avoid at all costs. Whether it's the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, or the fear of the unknown, we often do everything in our power to steer clear of uncomfortable situations. We convince ourselves that if we just stay in our comfort zone, everything will be okay. But what if we looked at fear differently? What if instead of running from it, we saw it as a sign that we're stepping into something greater, something that will help us grow? The Buddha's teachings remind us that fear is not a barrier, it's a bridge to your greatest self. It's a powerful tool that, when understood and embraced, can lead us toward transformation and deeper wisdom. Think back to a time when fear stood in your way. Maybe it was the first time you took on a new job, or perhaps it was moving to an unfamiliar place, or even speaking your truth in a situation where vulnerability felt like a risk. In those moments, your heart may have raced, your mind filled with doubts, and the urge to stay in your comfort zone may have been overwhelming. But when you look back at that time now, doesn't it stand out as a turning point in your life? Didn't that moment challenge you to dig deeper, to be braver, or to trust yourself more than you ever had before? The fear you felt didn't keep you stuck, it pushed you forward. Fear often arises when we step beyond the familiar, when we venture into uncharted territory, and that is exactly where true growth happens. It's only when we face the unknown that we truly learn what we are capable of. The Buddha's teachings offer a profound way of reframing fear. Instead of seeing fear as something to be feared, what if we saw it as an opportunity? What if, instead of resisting it, we leaned into it, curious about what it might teach us? The Buddha taught that life's challenges are not punishments, they are lessons. Every time we face adversity, we have a choice. We can either let the fear control us, or we can ask ourselves, what is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? This mindset allows us to transform fear from a roadblock into a stepping stone, using it as a tool for personal evolution. Fear becomes a guide that helps us unlock the strength and wisdom we didn't even know we had. Instead of avoiding fear, we learn to welcome it because we recognize that it is part of the path to becoming the best version of ourselves. In our modern, fast-paced world, cultivating the mindset to reframe challenges as opportunities for growth is vital. Often, when we face something we fear, our immediate response is to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or inadequate. We focus on how hard it is and how uncomfortable we feel. But what if we took a moment to pause, breathe, and remind ourselves that this is a chance to grow? Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we could ask, "What can I learn from this?" This simple shift in perspective allows us to move from a state of resistance to one of curiosity and openness. It empowers us to face obstacles with strength, rather than feeling like they are insurmountable walls. Consider an athlete training for a marathon. Every step along the way might bring pain or exhaustion, and yet they keep pushing forward. They don't see the discomfort as a sign to stop. They understand that the pain is actually evidence of growth. It's their body becoming stronger, more resilient with every stride. Life's challenges work in much the same way. Fear is the discomfort we experience as we step into our potential. It's the growing pains of self-discovery and transformation. The Buddha said, "Fear is not a barrier, but a bridge to your greatest self." By embracing fear, we move closer to realizing who we truly are and what we are capable of. This wisdom reminds us that fear is not the enemy. It is the path. Each time we confront fear, we expand our comfort zone, which in turn allows us to discover new aspects of ourselves. Every challenge we face, whether big or small, is an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. By embracing fear, we stop seeing it as something to be avoided and start seeing it as something to be celebrated. It's a sign that we are on the verge of learning something new, of becoming someone new. When we face our fears, we grow. Every time we challenge ourselves to step into the unknown, we expand our potential. Think about the first time you did something that scared you. Perhaps it was public speaking, or traveling alone, or making a difficult decision. Looking back, do you feel stronger because of it? Do you feel that you've learned something that changed you for the better? Fear often becomes the catalyst for growth, not because it is easy, but because it forces us to face our limitations and push beyond them. So, the next time fear arises, whether it's the fear of failure, rejection, or uncertainty, take a moment to pause and reflect. Instead of seeing fear as something to resist, welcome it. Let it be a reminder that you are stretching, growing, and becoming more than you were yesterday. Fear tells you that you are stepping into new territory where transformation happens. This is a powerful realization. Fear doesn't block the way, it is the way. It's the bridge between where you are now and where you can go next. By embracing fear and choosing to learn from it, you take a giant leap forward on your journey. You no longer let fear control you, but instead, you allow it to guide you toward the growth and transformation that lie just on the other side. The Buddha's teachings offer us the wisdom to view fear as a powerful tool for self-discovery and personal growth. We no longer have to view it as something that holds us back. Instead, we can choose to see it as an invitation to learn more about ourselves, to develop strength, and to step into our potential. The more we embrace this perspective, the more we expand our capacity for courage, resilience, and wisdom. As we face fear head-on, we begin to realize that fear is not a roadblock, but a stepping stone on our path to becoming the person we are meant to be. The next time you feel fear rising within you, remember, you're not moving away from something you should avoid. You're moving towards something greater, something that will help you grow, evolve, and become the person you've always been capable of being. When you choose to welcome fear as a guide, you embrace the opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. You shift your focus from avoiding fear to learning from it. Fear becomes a friend on your journey, helping you realize that the discomfort you feel is a sign of progress. You're not stuck, you're growing. Embrace the challenge, embrace the fear, and remember, fear doesn't block the way, it is the way. Trust in the process, and you'll find that the growth you seek is just beyond the fear. Bonus lesson 2. Harness the power of self-compassion. When fear strikes, what is the first thing you tell yourself? Do you criticize your reaction, call yourself weak, or wish you could just be braver? These are common responses that many of us have when we feel fear, especially when it comes unexpectedly. We often judge ourselves harshly in those moments, and this self-criticism only serves to fuel the fear, making it feel even bigger and more overwhelming than it really is. But what if the very first step to dissolving fear was to treat ourselves with kindness instead of judgment? The Buddha's teachings offer us a powerful truth. Compassion for yourself is the first step to dissolving fear. Imagine for a moment a young child standing at the edge of a swimming pool, trembling with fear. Would you yell at them to jump or criticize their hesitation? Of course not. You would encourage them gently, tell them that it's okay to be scared, and assure them that they are capable of facing this moment, even if it feels intimidating. You would remind them that fear is a natural part of the process and that they can do it. But when it comes to ourselves, we often forget that same kindness. Instead of nurturing our own fear with gentle encouragement, we tend to criticize ourselves for feeling afraid. We tell ourselves that we shouldn't feel afraid, that we should be stronger or braver, or that we're not good enough for the task at hand. This self-judgment deepens the fear and makes us feel even more isolated and incapable of overcoming it. The truth is, fear is not a flaw. It's a universal human experience. Fear is a natural reaction to uncertainty, change, or the unknown. We all experience it, and it's not something we can simply will away. However, what we can change is how we respond to it. This is where self-compassion becomes a powerful antidote. Self-compassion is the practice of treating ourselves with the same care and kindness that we would offer a dear friend who is struggling. In moments of fear, instead of saying to ourselves, "Why are you so afraid?" we can say, "It's okay to feel this way. Everyone experiences fear at times, and I'm doing the best I can." This simple shift in how we speak to ourselves can have a profound impact. It softens the grip of fear and helps to build emotional resilience, allowing us to face challenges with more grace and strength. The Buddha's teachings emphasize that self-compassion is not indulgence, it is strength. It allows us to face life's challenges with a steady heart, understanding that mistakes, fear, and setbacks are part of the human journey. When we practice self-compassion, we are not avoiding or ignoring our fear. Instead, we are acknowledging it with acceptance, giving ourselves permission to feel it without shame or guilt. By doing so, we free ourselves from the cycle of self-criticism and self-doubt that often keeps us stuck. In today's fast-paced world, where success is often measured by how quickly we can achieve things and how well we can perform, cultivating self-compassion is more important than ever. The pressure to always be on and perfect can be overwhelming, and it can make us feel even more afraid of failing or not measuring up. But when fear arises, one of the most powerful things we can do is pause and acknowledge our feelings without judgment. Take a deep breath, place a hand on your heart, and say to yourself, "I am scared, and that's okay. I am human, and I'm learning." This simple act of self-kindness creates a safe space within, where you can process your emotions without letting fear overwhelm you. Buddha said, "Compassion for yourself is the first step to dissolving fear." When you treat yourself with kindness and understanding, you create the emotional stability needed to face whatever life throws your way. Self-compassion doesn't erase fear, but it gives you the courage to move forward despite it. Fear in itself is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of growth. The more we challenge ourselves, the more we will experience fear. But by meeting fear with compassion, we transform it from something that holds us back into something that guides us. Let's continue this journey together, embracing the challenges, the growth, and the beauty of life as we unlock the courage within us all. Thank you for watching, and remember, fear may knock, but peace is always your choice.